Welcome back, everyone, to Fantasy Football Weather Guys. We're here with Week 6. We're a bit early, but that's because we got a big storm brewing in the Northeast, and we want to talk about it. How are you guys?
Doing good. Recouping slowly after the whooping that you served on me this past week.
Should we talk about that? I did go 2-0 against you guys, and I'm very excited, and I earned myself a Gardner jersey that I cannot wear today because it's in the mail.
Yeah, you did a great job. Your team exploded. I mean, you had you scored 170 points, second highest of the league. So, good job, Colin. You killed it.
And I beat Sean, and that's always fun.
Yeah. So especially me. You better get that Gardner jersey before the Yankees go to the ALCS here, though.
Hey,
I want it because they're going to be playing Tampa, and then they're going to the World Series. That's my call.
Bold prediction. You think Tampa's going to beat Houston, huh?
Anyways, so again, our meteorologist on staff, we got Dr. Mike Ventris and Sean. We're going to be really focusing on the Patriots-Giants game on Thursday night. And why don't we just get into it and talk about it? Because we're seeing a lot that could have a lot of potential for, full season draft leagues, not so much daily fantasy this week, but there's our first extreme, as you can see on our website. So Mike or Sean, let's talk.
Yeah, so this is typically a type of system that we see more fall going into winter. This is your prototypical nor'eastern, and that's what you're looking off of the northeast coast, where you see all the reds and the counterclockwise winds going around. That's what's going to be impacting our game for Thursday. And this game is this system is relatively stationary now. It's kind of sitting off the northeast coast. And with that, we see some bands of precipitation and some wind that we're going to be concerned about for game time. So this is our precipitation. This is the American model. This is the GFS model. What
does GFS stand for, Sean?
Global Forecasting Systems Model.
Cool. Thanks.
This is at 6Z, but this is accumulation total over the last 6 hours. So this is taking from basically game time, 6 hours forward.
So 6Z is 1 p.m. Eastern.
What? 1 a.m.
I almost had it.
1 a.m. But what we're basically looking at here is the accumulation of precipitation over a 6 hour period. And where I want to draw your attention is where Mike has his cursor right now. That's over Foxborough. And we're looking at potentially around 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch over this time period. So these models like the GFS, the ECMWF are being a little bit more bullish on their precipitation, but we've been looking at some of the other models out there, and precipitation may actually not be as much of a concern as wind moving forward.
I was just going to say, because the levels you were saying, I forgot the tenths that you were saying. Didn't sound like a lot, but it is some impact, but it's really more the wind you want to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, there's a possibility that, we don't see a whole lot of precipitation for this game. We're actually going to be more focusing on the wind concern. We're looking at 15 to 20 miles an hour sustained through this game. So that's going to be a main focal point. There may be some rain intermittently tied in with that, but that'll be our focus point.
Yeah, so this is a tough one when it comes to the rain forecast. There's, as Sean mentioned, some models are showing fairly good rain rates during the time of game. Some models are showing it dry up, and it's a tricky time. But as a native New Englander now, I've grown more and more accustomed to these storms that we call the nor'easters, right? And this is exactly what we're going to see. Winds out of the northeast at a sustainable 15, 20 miles per hour. If you do get that rain component in there, it can make things even more difficult for some of the fantasy production and some of the players there.
Also brought up another point. We call these nor'easters not necessarily because of the direction they move. It's where the winds are basically coming from. So they usually impact the northeast portion or region of the United States. So that's why a lot of people think that they're called nor'easters, but it's really because the winds are coming from the northeast and impacting and just subsequently they're impacting the northeast region of the U.S.
So I'm not a professional weather meteorologist, degreed meteorologist. But isn't it a little interesting when the winds come from the northeast? Because isn't that going almost anti-rotation compared to how the normal winds go from west to east in this area?
Yeah, I mean, you're thinking of the prevailing westerlies that you hear, which is usually the jet streams aloft. You can get, east to west winds on a number of occasions. You see it in Africa a lot, right?
So the over-under is 44. It's going to be, in my opinion, all Patriots game, regardless of the score and the impact. But we do see some potential impacts for every player from kicker to Tom Brady to running back to wide receiver. So let's just get at it. Where do you want to start?
I'm going to just actually start with the Patriots defense. They have been a juggernaut this year. And Mike and I were just talking actually with Colin before the game. And Mike, you were saying that the Patriots defense in our league has more fantasy points than players like Aaron Jones and Cooper Kupp and some high-profile
Chris Godwin,
players.
Amari Cooper.
Chris Godwin, yeah, some of the top 10 wide receivers in the league. And so they're getting a lot of takeaways. They're returning a lot of defensive touchdowns. They have not given up more than 10 points all season. They gave up 10 to Buffalo at Buffalo. The Giants are decimated on offense. There's going to be no Saquon Barkley, no Sterling Shepard. They're completely
no Evan Ingram.
decimated. Yeah, no Ingram either. No tight end there. So it's gonna be really
skeleton crew.
Yeah, Daniel Jones, even though he's shown signs of greatness here, he's not going to be having many weapons to work with. They're on the third string running back, Hillman. And so he's not completely dependable. We don't know what to expect from him. We've seen glimpses of him over the last couple games with Saquon Barkley out. But it's going to be tough sledding. I don't expect them to score in this weather. I don't expect them to score more than 10 to 13 points.
So I do want to say that there's the magic factor with the Giants playing the Patriots, right? There's a lot of folks here in New England that get nervous when they play the Giants just because they have that bad taste in their mouth.
Well, that was Eli. We'll see if Daniel Jones can earn that badge.
And it was Super Bowls.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, when was the last time that, the Giants didn't play the Patriots when it wasn't the Super Bowl?
But I think there's a different level of intensity with the players when it's the Super Bowl. When it's week 6 with 3 of your starters on injured, I don't know what the locker room pump is going to be like.
So fair enough. And I think the point here is you're going to feel good starting your New England defense. I mean, you felt good all year. They've been a juggernaut. They've been a fantasy difference maker for your team. Now let's talk about the more impactful players that we think that most people are probably starting these guys. Let's start off with Patriots quarterback Tom Brady. Tom, has been having a great year. He's going up against a very cushy New York Giants defense who's been giving up the 8th most fantasy points to the quarterback position this year. I mean, literally, Kirk Cousins just went off for 306 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, Kirk Cousins has had such a bad year. For him to go up and do this against the Giants, it just shows you the level of incompetence right now in the Giants defense here.
Yeah.
So,
I agree. And it's the thing with that, though, is if the Patriots get out to a huge lead early, I don't see them having a huge, especially if the weather is impacting game flow. I don't expect them having to go out and this be a shootout and them scoring necessarily 40 points.
Absolutely.
And so I expect the Patriots implement a little bit more of a ground game and James White and Sony Michel to be a pretty heavy factor in this game. I think Tom Brady, we've seen that usually in bad weather games with wind, one of the things that suffers the most, one of the variables that suffers the most is TDs. So I do not expect Tom Brady to get more than 2 TDs in this game. And I also anticipate a slightly reduced total yards for him this game. And so people like Josh Gordon, I'm a little hesitant on, who are more, ride or die by
before we get into the wideouts and running backs, I think that there's some interesting stats here on Brady, right? So Tom Brady's had a 262 yards per game career average. He's actually throwing 281 yards per game in 2019, so he's above that. During games where there's wind and or rain, that average yards per game drops to anywhere from 254 to 266.
So we're looking at about a drop of 10% production with winds at 15 miles an hour.
Yeah. So, and also you notice that his sacks per game actually slightly increases during those games with weather. ESPN is currently projecting Tom Brady to have 282 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That's for the 7th highest out of all quarterbacks in Week 6. Yahoo has Brady at 316 yards with 2.2 touchdowns and 0.7 interceptions, which is actually the 3rd highest quarterback for Week 6. I'm a little nervous there on those on these statistics coming to fruition.
Yeah. So Mike, given that you have some analysts out there put quarterbacks such as Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers, even Jared Goff behind Tom Brady. Are you if you have, some people picked up Tom Brady late. He was not a high prospect QB. If you have one of these other QBs on your roster, are you playing them over Brady?
Well, you can ask Colin about how I feel about Dak Prescott.
I will say I would play Dak Prescott over
I
Tom
would
Brady
too.
this week.
A little worried about Tom Brady hitting his high expectations, especially in the Yahoo projections there. But I guess we can transition to guys more like the running back game, right? Sean, you think that the running backs have a little bit better of upside here? You think that the matchup's cushy, and you think with the weather element, the Patriots may be more inclined to run the ball, or as you say, ground and pound?
Yeah, Mike, I definitely think that the Patriots, I think that Sony Michel last game proved that he could be a force on the ground. He could be efficient. He has not been efficient all year, under 3 yards per attempt. He was over that in last week. I mean, again, the Patriots have not played any really stout defenses, and guess what? The Giants aren't going to be either. James White is averaging over 12 yards per reception. He's their pass catcher. And he's increasing, or he has a better chance of getting a touchdown. His chances of getting a touchdown in windy and higher precipitation type of conditions is also higher.
I'm interested on that call. I was looking at the Giants defense. They haven't given up a reception touchdown to a running back yet. Now, I don't think that's their defense is that good to do that. I think it's more of a scheme script, and you're just seeing people run the ball more, right? So,
yeah, and I think that their secondary is so poor that teams know they can pass. Think about when Jameis Winston played against the Giants and threw 3 TDs to Mike Evans. I mean, you don't necessarily need. I mean, and the the Buccaneers have some pass catchers on their team, but they just went to Evans and Godwin that game.
Yeah, I mean, that was the game where Mike Evans went off. I mean, he scored? He had 190 yards and 3 touchdowns. We saw Thielen do this last week, had 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. So like before, that's a good transition, I guess, to get into the wideout receivers.
Yeah.
Here.
I was actually going to say, and not to cut you off, Mike, but I'm supposed to be playing you this week, and I have Josh Gordon, right? Yeah. So Josh Gordon, you have Dorsetta, obviously AB is no longer on the team. All you really have is Edelman as the other real threat, pass-catching threat on that team other than James White. Are you playing Josh Gordon here? I
mean, it's situational, right? In my 14-person league, I have to start Josh Gordon. I have no one else. But when Josh Gordon has shown how he does in games where there's rain and or wind. He does show up. He gets the yardage, 82.6 yards in 8 games is his average in 8 games in rain in his career. But if you take a look at some advanced statistics like the reception to target ratio, his career reception to target ratio is 0.53. In games where there's rain in his career, that reception to target ratio drops to 0.22. So
yeah, and I'm a little bit worried because there are games where he's getting targets, but he's just not bringing them in. And that's probably because, he's outside. So he's getting some of the longer bombs and, Tom Brady's just not connecting with him. I don't know if they're going to be able to go as long in this game if wind's a component. Looking at some of the advanced metrics with Tom Brady, it seems like, his yards per attempt is down a little bit in windy and when we have precipitation. Yeah. So that's kind of my big concern. I think that statistic will show up on Thursday with Josh Gordon.
Yeah, we've seen it this year. I think for Edelman, though, I think he's a safe start here. He's been that guy who's getting those quick passes, those quick slants, and I think we'll see more, though. I think we may see the Patriots rely on that more so this game here with the weather factor.
Yeah.
So
that was awesome. So, we really did focus a lot on this game because, like we said, the weekend actually looks like it's going to be a great football weekend across countries, right? Even in London. I haven't
said that yet, Colin, so that's a great point.
That's why. Oh, right. So, yeah, I tried to hint at it. Maybe it wasn't. Yeah. Maybe it was more subtle than just being blunt. Yeah. So we're really not seeing any impacts for this weekend. I mean, always follow us on our social media and look at our website. If something does change, weather's very variable right now, and as it's transitioning to fall, I think they can support me with that statement. I hope I'm right with saying
we
that.
do.
Like always, follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Listen to our podcast. Watch us on YouTube. We appreciate all our subscribers. If you want to see something different, if you don't like a segment or are not engaged, tell us. Leave comments. We're here for you guys. Thank you. Enjoy. Good luck.